Oh.
Are you serious? Hey, everybody. Okay, so right now we have our media person that's working the camera. That would be Miss Regina Little. And she just told me that it was on, and but we did not know because we normally get a countdown. But guess what? She did count us down. Okay, great. Thank you, Regina. You're so sweet. Say hello to the people. Great. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I am April Evans. I am your media correspondent for today, as usual. And sitting beside me, I'm telling y'all, he has about 3 titles. We have Elder, Assistant Pastor, Youth Pastor, Jermaine Smith. But we call him Elder J. Guys, he did an amazing job today, and I really hope you go back to our timeline and listen to today's message. It is titled, Follow the Leader. And since we are following the leader, how about you go ahead and hit that like button, hit the heart button, and share this to your timeline, because we're about to get it in for the next 10 minutes. Yeah, we're going in. We're going to go in big time. Because, guys, he taught a message today that met us right where we are. Still following the leading of Pastor Jones. He was very practical. The message was so clear that you have no excuse that you're unable to get it. So I'm going to go to our 3-title pastor over here, Elder J. I'm excited to hear about your message on today. So it was titled Follow the Leader. And where did you come from? What was your scripture passage from?
The scripture passage was 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15, and also chapter 11, verse 1.
Okay. So can you kind of tell us what was going on in these 2 passages of scripture to kind of give us some background information?
Basically the background or the context of those particular scriptures was basically Paul writing to the church at Corinth about the process of them following or picking fathers or picking people that would get them to the next level. And basically what Paul was doing, he was basically telling them to follow him or imitate him as he was imitating Christ. Because of just the time that they was dealing with. It was a brand new church, new converts, and he really wanted them to understand that they needed something more than just the people around them. They needed a father figure that would help them get to the next level.
Okay, so you heard he kept saying the word, get to the next level, get to the next level. And just last Sunday, we were talking about leveling up, and I have an announcement to make. So you see, we're still in the same vein. So I wanted to talk to you about this follower and leader dynamic, because you said that in this passage of scripture, Paul was talking about getting fathers. So you said that there is always a follower and a leader dynamic. You said, but we need to understand which position we're in. Right. So tell me about that, about how God has this follower and leader dynamic.
Well, the follower leader dynamic is basically this. You're either in a position of being taught or doing the teaching.
Okay.
And so when it comes to that, we got to understand that there's a lot of areas in our lives that people that have our best interests are teaching us in.
Okay.
And then, or we're being taught in. But then there's other times where God will flip the script and put us in a position to where we're able to teach other people. And so you have that follower leader dynamic happening all through our lives if we just pay attention to the patterns.
So tell me this, so in what areas do you teach? In what areas are you a leader?
Well, the areas that I'm a leader as far as at CYM is being a youth pastor,
Okay.
being the elder of the church, and also being the assistant pastor, or the number 2 behind our senior pastor, Pastor Linda Jones.
So in what aspects are you a follower?
Being a follower is basically I'm a son of this ministry.
Okay.
And so with Pastor Jones being our spiritual father and being personal on this standpoint that he's my spiritual father, I know he's yours, but you asked me the question.
Yeah, I did.
So, him being my spiritual father in this house, just watching and learning things from him, because there are areas that he has been in that he's already or he's mastering, that he's able to show me, and so I'm able to get a behind the scene look more than say some other people will.
So you're telling me that you could be a follower and a leader all at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so let me talk to you about this. This is something that you said. Being a follower impacts the influence of the leader.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm following, you're telling me that what I do as a follower can impact the person that's leading me.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, when you have decided to follow somebody and that person has willingly taken you under their wing,
Okay.
they have to put their name on the line. And by them putting their name on the line and putting their reputation on the line, me following them, whatever decision that I make, bad or good, can impact their influence. Because people will look at them and say, wow, they did this. Why are you allowing them to be near you if they made this decision or if they made that decision? And so what we do, good or bad, if we do something good, it gives the influence of that leader, it bumps it up even more.
Okay.
We do something stupid, it bumps it down.
Okay. So tell me, so you gave an example about parents and their children. So give that example to us again so we can kind of get an idea of how this works in the real world.
Well, if you look at it, if I can remember everything I said, is from parents, you have a child. When your child does something well, it gives credit, it gives credibility to that parent. It makes the parent, to other people, it brings a different light to the parent, like, oh wow, they're doing something awesome with their child.
Right.
When the child does something crazy, it brings negative attention to the parent, because now people are looking at the parent like, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing on raising this kid, because if you were, this kid wouldn't be doing this over here.
Right.
And so that dynamic plays just in that practical situation, but also in our lives individually when we're dealing with people.
So if you say, well, follow the leader, so why, as a believer, as a person who's trying to do the will of God, as you're doing great things, not only in ministry, but you're doing great things where you are being taught in school, you're getting higher, advanced, education, you're moving up within your company, within Michelin, so you're doing all these great things, but why is it important for, going back to the scripture, you talk about to have fathers, to have a father, because in that scripture, it talks about going from being, is it something like a slave? Yeah,
depending upon the translation that you are reading, if you go back and read that scripture in 14, 15 in 1 Corinthians, it's either going to say instructor, guide, counselors, or teachers.
Okay.
But the whole connotation of that word in the Greek boils down to slave. And the word slave at that time in history basically meant that an individual would take a trusted slave that's in their household and give them the responsibility of training up their children until they got of age, or pretty much past adolescence.
Okay.
Then that child was turned over to the father of that house for them to learn what they needed to learn to run the business of the family, because they treated their families as businesses.
Okay.
And so they wanted to make sure that the child had a foundation, but then once they got their foundation, they was given over to the father to say, okay, this is how you actually do this thing.
Okay.
And as you stated, as a believer, we cannot do this on our own. You need people in your life that has your best interest, that will help you get to areas in God that you need to get to. And so what happens is, if we don't have those type of people, we end up becoming closed off. And when you become closed off, you're not really able to do anything for God, because everything that we do for God is based on relationships.
Wow, that's okay. So, hey, Becca, we appreciate you tuning in. We're sitting here, just as a reminder, we're sitting here with Pastor Jay. He is our youth pastor. He's an elder of a ministry. He's an elder within our ministry. And Kelsey, thank you so much for tuning in, Kel. We really appreciate it. But Elder Jay, you said something so key, that that to do things for Christ, to do things for God, to live out the life that He's called us to live, we can't just say all I need is Jesus and that's enough. So we have to have relationships. So in just the three things that you said, if I'm looking for a father, meaning someone, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking for a father, what am I looking for?
Well, if you're looking for a father, and what I was stating, that in the term father in the scripture, he was actually talking about a man. But we know that God is not gender specific. And so this can be a woman, this can be a man, this can be a white person, a Latino, Asian American, whoever. They can be younger or older. But what we should be looking for is that the three things that I stated is that we need to watch and pray. Is that you have the option to pick anybody to be in your life.
Gotcha.
Everybody that's in your life, if you want to take out family, because you're born into that, but everybody else, you let them in.
Right.
And so we need to watch and pray. Jesus said that with the disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane. He told them to watch and pray. So you need to watch what the person is doing. You need to be prayerful okay, God, is this a person that I need to link up with? Or are they going in the same direction that I'm going at this moment in time in my life? The second one is that you need to remain teachable.
Okay.
If you stop learning, you put yourself in a bind to where you can't be used. God is unsearchable. So if God is unsearchable, why would we have the term come out of our mouths that we can't learn anymore? We are constant learners until the day we're not here anymore. And then the third thing was that we got to turn around and teach others. Once you've done all those things, once you've been taught, then you need to release that with somebody else and pass that on to somebody else, because God will put you in a situation to where now you're the leader and somebody else is following you. And you got to be able to do the same thing that somebody did for you for somebody else.
That's awesome. And to culminate today's worship experience, which was amazing, how many souls did we have to give their life to Christ? Do you remember?
I think we had a total of 6 today.
We had a total of 6 souls to give their life to Christ today. That is absolutely amazing. So that's why we are absolutely stoked about today's service. And we just had, I think, Elder Lorenzo Powers to join in. He just said, powerful word, Elder Jermaine. Good stuff. But hey, guys, we really appreciate you tuning in. This was just a snippet of today's message from our youth pastor, our elder, our assistant pastor. Yeah, that's 3 titles. Jermaine Smith. Please go back to our timeline and you can listen to today's message. It is titled Follow the Leader, coming from 1 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, I think verse 15.
Verse 15.
And then also chapter 11, verse 1. And if you don't go back to our timeline page, you can also go to Sunday Streams, which is an app, and you can also go to our website at cymm.org, and you can go to the sermons and you can hear his message from today. Now, I think you're gonna teach on Wednesday night. Will you be here or will you be out of town? You never know where you're gonna be.
No, I'll be here.
Okay. So come and eat with us. We eat real good, but we actually break down the word and you get to know the people of CYM. And you get to ask questions about the message as well. So come and hang out with us Wednesday night at 7 p.m. with Elder, Youth Pastor, Assistant Pastor. Yeah, 3 titles, Jermaine Smith. Anything you want to say to the good people?
Hope to see y'all on Wednesday.
And he's smiling. Bye, y'all.